Hey everybody, it's Ellen Lewis from Crazy for You. Sorry the little delay there. I'm trying to make sure that we are live on Instagram as well. It looks like we are, so yay, happy. Anyway, I'm Ellen Lewis from Crazy for You, where we talk about things that are fun to knit and fabulous to wear. Welcome everybody. Thank you so much for being here. I know you're excited to hear about the new yarn that Rowan has this season, Cotton Revive. I'm excited too. A little secret, I had an interview with David McLeod today that I will be showing next week, not next week, the week after that when I'm out of town. Anyway, it was a fabulous conversation and it kind of got into the sort of the backstory of this yarn. So I won't be sharing that with you today. What I wanted to talk about today is just about the yarn, about the feel, what it's like to knit with, the colors, the texture, and the designs for it. I was not sure that I would like this yarn. Honestly, when it came in, the sample came in and that they had a little knitted up swatch. It felt a little bit overly crisp, a little bit stiff. But I will tell you that after having spent the whole day knitting this beautiful swatch, I'm in love. Okay. Probably should have waited till the end to tell you how it's going to come out, keep you guessing as to whether I liked it or not. But I'm not really big on surprises. If I bought somebody a present, I'm like, oh, I want to give you my present right now. Anybody else like that? So anyway, let's talk about this yarn. How many of you, if anybody, has already seen it or already fallen in love with it? I know Susie has, so very cool. Hey, everybody, let me just take a minute to welcome everybody. Hi, Donna and Barbara and Sandy and Ellen Orr and Jane and Terry and Irina and Liz and Rita and Gwen. My goodness, it's so nice to see you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. Anyway, so as I said, it's a new yarn for Rowan, and it's nice because Rowan doesn't come out with a new yarn every season. They sort of have to have a reason to introduce a new yarn. And this one is really different, I think, from anything else in their lineup. First of all, it is a recycled cotton yarn, and it's very different from other recycled yarns you might have seen or been familiar with, even from Rowan. I noticed in the chat that we had from earlier, Ellen Orr was saying she was looking for something to knit with her Cotton Revive. That's Denim Revive that you have, Ellen, and this is a very different yarn. Also lovely, but completely different. I don't even want to say they're sisters. I guess maybe like second cousins, because the look and feel of this yarn is very, very different from any other cotton yarn I've ever worked with at all, ever. So if you read the newsletter this week, you know that this has a construction, a chainette construction. So that means that the fiber itself, the yarn itself, is made up of a very fine strand that's been knit almost into a little I-cord. And that gives it a lot of really lovely characteristics, lightness and bounce for one. And it also gives this yarn a really great drape. So I know that yarn has a good drape. So I was wondering, how is it as far as stitch definition? How is it as far as structure? Does it give me everything I want in a summer knitting experience? And we'll also talk about the garments, the collection behind this, which I'm also very, very jazzed about. So if you have questions about it, please put them in the chat. I will be checking from time to time and absolutely answering those questions for you. So let's see. Hey, Amy. Hey, Mary. Hi, Colleen. Yes, Donna loves the chainette. So chainette yarn has been slow in acceptance, I think, because when knitters first started looking at it, they weren't sure how that was going to look. And I do recognize that different chainette yarns and the construction of those yarns can vary wildly. And the variance of the size and the tightness of the chainette impact the fabric that you make. So this particular yarn is very, very smooth. So I don't have my secondary camera today. So I'm going to hold this up to you and see if you can see it here. So it's a very smooth yarn. All right. A lot of your chainette yarn, when you look at it, is going to have more texture. So this is part of that is because this is such a fine yarn. Its native gauge is 28 stitches over 4 inches. So they call it maybe a fingering sport weight yarn. And I wanted to see, so I've swatched it at all the gauges. But as you can see, it is a fine yarn. So it's not going to have as much of a tendency to display its texture as it would if it were heavier. But even that being said, even if this were chunkier, I still believe that this would be a very fine and smooth yarn. So that chainette construction gives it great yardage. So at a 50-gram ball, right here, let me get my glasses on so I can see these better for you. A 100-gram ball gives you 273 yards, which I think is pretty decent for a cotton. And it's very light and very bouncy. So knitting with it is very, very pleasant, even though it is a cotton yarn. So the fiber content is 80% recycled cotton and 20% recycled other fibers. And David explained this today, but the cotton comes from like scrap yarn, scrap fabric, like if they're making cotton garments and they cut that in the industry, those remnants, those bits of scrap are what this is made of. So it's not yarn that's already been yarn, it's fabric and other cotton fibers that are culled. And then there's a portion of it that is post consumer, so like garments that people have worn, they get sorted and all that. And then that 20% is things that they can't really account for, like stitching. Okay, so a lot of times cotton garments are sewn with nylon or nylon blend yarn. So there's going to be some of that in there. So it's kind of cool. But anyway, it is a majority cotton yarn. So when you think about cotton yarn, you don't necessarily think about a really fabulous knitting experience. You know, we knit with wool because we want to, we knit with cotton because we have to sometimes. This is different. And I think this is going to kind of change your mind about knitting with cotton yarn because it is so bouncy. So I have a little bit of a presentation to share with you, of course, because I wanted to show you a close-up of the yarn and then also a close-up of the different gauges that I did. Let me tell you, this was really pleasant to knit. I was not expecting it to be as nice as it is. It is a fine yarn, okay, with a gauge, a native gauge of 28, which is 7 stitches to the inch. I was thinking it was going to be, you know, a challenge to knit. Sometimes cotton can be hard on your hands. You know, you have to knit it with a smaller needle to get that tight gauge. This was different altogether. This was such a pleasure to knit. And I knit this with 3 different kinds of needles. I knit this with regular Addi turbos. I knit this with Addi rocket squares that have a very pointed tip. And I knit them with the Rowan fixed wood needles. And it was a champ. It knit like a champ on every single one of those needles. So very, very pretty. All right. Quick question. Jane, I worry about cotton because of the growth of the garment after blocking. Okay, so that's something that we should probably talk about. Because of the construction of this yarn and the elasticity in it, it's going to maintain its structure in a very different way than your standard cotton yarn. I'm going to show you real quick, and I hope that this will show up on the camera here. Can you see how bouncy? That's a really, really bouncy, you know, can you see the elasticity in that? It's really, really bouncy, which means that it's going to have the recovery. So yes, it will stretch out over the needle like chainette yarns do, but it also means that it's going to recover and it's going to hold its shape and its structure in the same way that a wool yarn does. So this is one of those yarns that I don't think you need to worry about the growth of the fabric after you block it or wash it. Um, I am assured that it washes and dries like a champ, getting better every single time. I haven't washed and dried this swatch yet, but I will, and I will have that information for you next week. Um, but I believe that it is going to be one of those yarns that really stands the test of time. So that was kind of interesting. All right. How does it compare with soft yak DK? That's a really good question, Donna. As Donna knows, soft yak DK is also a chainette construction. I will tell you it's very similar in knitting feel with soft yak DK. Soft yak DK has that 15% of yak in there, which gives it a bit of a softer and downier hand, but you get that same amount of stretch. I always say that soft yak DK is the cotton that knits like a wool. I would say this would be the cotton kind of fingering weight that would knit like a wool. Definitely, I mean, really bouncy. Isn't that nice? I just love it. Okay, let's see. How does it compare with cotton cashmere? Okay, this is finer than cotton cashmere. And Donna, yes, absolutely. This is finer than soft yak DK. So this is finer than cotton cashmere. It's, as I said, its native gauge is 28 stitches over 4 inches, and cotton cashmere is 22. This has a whole lot more bounce and recovery than cotton cashmere does. So, and that is attributable exclusively to the construction, right? That chainette construction is going to give it more bounce and elasticity. I think it's a little crisper than your cotton cashmere. The crispness is maybe a little bit closer to cotton glacé, but it's not nearly as structured as cotton glacé, which is a sport weight, DK weight, mercerized cotton that's going to have that sheen and a good bit of structure and a very tight twist. So this has more drape, even at this tighter gauge. It has more drape than the yarns that you've mentioned, the cotton cashmere and the soft yak DK. So I do think that you will love it. I really do. Let me grab this ball that I dropped on the floor. Oh my goodness. Okay. So let me show you a close-up picture of this, this yarn. So can you see that this is the close-up of a chainette construction? It really is a little knitted tube. And I know these pictures do not represent the color at all. I knit with this beautiful, this blue color breeze, and it turns out really gray. So you can see that although the chainette is there, it's still really smooth. You know, you can see that there isn't any portion of the chain that sort of sticks out or creates any kind of texture in it. It is a very smooth yarn, very silky feeling. And there's a crispness. There's a crispness to this yarn, almost like a linen. It's not linen, right? But the way that it feels, and I don't know how they did this, because I've certainly experienced some recycled yarns that weren't my favorite. Okay. This one is completely different, just amazing. So let me show you the swatches. Okay. All right. Here is the swatch that is done at the recommended gauge. I did this on a US 2.5, and I got 28 stitches over 4 inches. This was not an unpleasant process. For me, knitting this tightly with a plant-based fiber is going to be more challenging, but this really was quite lovely to knit. And let me show you here in my graduated swatch. This is what it looks like. And you can see there's quite a bit of nice structure on that. It's here at the bottom. It's still, there's no air coming through that. You don't see any light coming through that at all. It's got a nice bounce and a very good stitch definition. So I think it's really pretty. That's at 2028. So what I typically do is I just go up by needle size. So I jumped for this next one, and this one I did on a US 4, and I got 25 stitches, which is kind of a jump. But again, I think the fabric looks really good. Here it is in situ. So this is the 28 and this is the 25. Still plenty of structure, you know? So it's a really versatile yarn. So that's the 25. And then on a US 6, I got 22. I was surprised that I got 22 because I was thinking I might have to go up a needle size to get that, because I usually get 22 on a 6 with wool. But yeah, so also very nice. A really good, really good feel. And I think a very nice and not too open fabric. So these are the first 3, right? 28, 25, and 22. All right. Still plenty of stretch, still plenty of structure, still really good stitch definition there. And then I went to a 7, 8, and a 9. So let's look at those. Okay. On a 7, I got 21. And I think here it's beginning to look a little looser, but still definitely a very wearable fabric. And then on an 8, I got 20 stitches. I think that's still a beautiful, good-looking fabric. And then just for giggles, I did a 9, and I got 19 stitches over 4 inches on a 9. So let's talk about how they look in the fabric. So this is the largest one that I did, okay, on a 9. And you certainly could do that. I think it might, you would definitely want something drapey if you were doing it there. I like it at 20. I think this on the 8, to get 20 stitches on a US 8, I think that's a nice fabric. And then here it is at 21 on the 7. So really, really good and solid fabric that you could wear in a garment anywhere from 28 stitches to 19 stitches. So to me, that speaks to a real high versatility in a yarn. You have a lot of flexibility in what you can do. And when we have a look at the patterns in the pattern collection that support this yarn, you'll see that different garments are actually knit at different gauges, which is unusual for Rowan. Typically, when they have a yarn, every design in that yarn is knit at the recommended gauge. So I think this is a very nice demonstration of this yarn's versatility. So let's answer some questions. All right, could this be used for an elan? Yes, absolutely. It could be used for an elan. It would be beautiful. One of the things I'm going to be recommending this for is I am doing a class on the Cocoa Knits Lizzie, which is a cute little cropped drape front cardigan in the Cocoa Knits book. And this would be absolutely wonderful for it. The gauge is 20, and I think it would be beautiful at this. So that's probably going to be what I'll do. Let's see, Jane. All right. One of your video shorts, you wore a summer shell, which you knit. It was a color block garment. Oh, yeah. You could absolutely do that. garment. That was Veronique. That was the cover design from last summer's Rowan magazine. I think I did it in black and white and pink and gray. You could absolutely do that in this. The only limitation is that the palette, as I will show you, is a tiny, tiny bit more limited than you have with the hand knit cotton. But yeah, absolutely could do that. Is this pre-blocking? No, I blocked this. I blocked these. I blocked this swatch by, as I always do, just steaming it. One thing you want to notice is that as you go along, you can see that the fabric gets a little less tidy. You know, the tighter you knit it, the tidier your stitches. But even at, even at this loose gauge, they still look pretty decent because of that construction. It sort of forces your stitches back into shape. So, yes. Yay, Lizzie. Yes, absolutely. Interesting point. Yes. So, I mean, I'm not sure why they did that, but I like it. I like that in this collection they are displaying the versatility of the gauge because I'm all about that. You know, even though a yarn has a recommended gauge, that doesn't mean that you can't knit it more tightly or more loosely, right? So, okay. So I also wanted to show you, oh, I want to show you the colors. Okay. So this color that I've been using is called Breeze. This is this beautiful kind of pale blue. I don't know why this speaks to me. I think that's really pretty. So that's called Breeze. And this one, I know you think this is going to be my favorite. I do like this a lot. This is called Cherry Blossom. This is just a really nice kind of rose pink. And that's the color that Ginny is doing one of her sweaters in from the collection in Seed Stitch. So you can see that knit up. Very nice in the Seed Stitch. So this one is called Wash. This is a really soft spring green color. This one is called Moss. Very pretty Ellen Orr kind of color. I like this color a lot. I was thinking about a little tank in that. There is Sand, which is a nice beige. And this is Pebble. And I want to show these together to give you an indication about, how they're different. Because if I showed you Sand and then Pebble, you'd be like, what's the difference? Sand is a more of a yellowy beige, and Pebble is more of a gray beige, right? So I think those colors are really pretty. I'm not done yet. This has been super popular. This is called Ocean. This is a gorgeous teal. This is black, which is a nice deep black. Sometimes black is not as black as you'd like it to be, but this is really nice. And then this one I think is called Sienna, which is a very pretty kind of clay color. I'm looking in the camera. It looks to me like this is showing a little more orange than it is. It's definitely terracotta colored, right? And then, of course, white, beautiful white, right? Okay, so those are the colors. Let's see, we've had some questions come up. Ellen likes the muted colors. Machine washable. Yes, it is. Wash and dry like a champ. Okay, because it's cotton, and it's bouncy. So I never put anything in the dryer to dry all the way. So I have this sweater on. This is knit in Summerlight DK. I wash it in the washing machine in a garment bag, and I dry it in the dryer mostly. And then I take it out and I lay it flat to dry all the rest of the way. That's just how I do it. But you know what? I'm going to be washing and drying this swatch in the machine, and we'll talk about it next week. So yes, Lizzie and Pebble. I missed the beginning. So this yarn weight it's called a sport weight or fingering weight. It's native gauge, or the ball band gauge, is 28 stitches over 4 inches, and it is 100% recycled materials, 80% recycled cotton, and 20% recycled other fibers. So there you go. Ocean. Yeah, ocean is beautiful, right? Just gorgeous. Wash. Oh, yeah. I find these colors have a coastal grandma aesthetic. Okay, I guess that's a good thing. I kind of like the coastal grandma look. I hope you do. That's kind of a thing, right? Anyway, I think the palette is, I mean, if you look at it as a whole, I swiped the whole selection from the desk today, from the shop table. It's a very good palette. I mean, I think that there are any kinds of combinations, any number of combinations. I think this is a beautiful combination. Anything goes with white and black, but I think this is also an appealing combination. The pink and the pebble, I think, is really pretty. So there are a lot of things that you could do with this. I will tell you right now that none of the garments in the collection are two color, but that doesn't mean that you can't make them two color. So let me bring up what I want to show you. Let's see, share screen. I want to share this. All right. Okay, so let's look real quick. Okay, so this is the cover design. It's called Ambiance. It's a really pretty set-in sleeve open cardigan. I think this is just a beautiful garment to wear. Um, all of the designs in this collection are intended to be sort of wardrobe basics. I'm all about the hand knit wardrobe and the capsule wardrobe. So this is just something that's really pretty. I think you could wear it to work. I think you could wear it to play. Just a really nice looking garment. Hmm. All right, this next one. This is a cabled cropped cardigan. It's also a set-in sleeve, but it's more of a shallow sleeve cap. But this is in that ocean color, which is a much better indication of the ocean color, I think, than in a lot of the pages. So that's really pretty. Mm, this is not good. Let's see. Oh, here's another one. I think this is nice too. I mean, they're all lovely. Don't get me wrong. They're all beautiful. Another easy fitting cardigan. Show you on full screen here. This is in the sand, I believe. This garment is created without any kind of neckline shaping. It's what I call a kimono shape and a drop shoulder. So very easy to make and easy to wear. This is the only in the round garment. This is a top down in the round with cables by Lisa Richardson. I don't think you would have a problem wearing this garment um, in the wintertime. I mean, in the summertime or the wintertime. Even though it's long sleeved, it's going to be very cool. And depending on where you live, this would be a beautiful garment for any season. I can see myself wearing this, all season for sure. This is Indulge. This is the one that Ginny has knit. Um, I think this is really cute. So let me show you what's going on with this. You've got a basic scoop neck in the front and a very sexy deep V neck in the back. I think what Ginny did was to knit two fronts because she's not about that deep V neck, but you have to do you, right? So this, it sort of showcases the beautiful stitch pattern and the stitch definition that this yarn has. Another easy fitting cardigan. I love this part. Look at that back neck. Isn't that pretty? And your basic vest. And this is a nice layering piece, right? You could wear this on its own with a little cami underneath, or you could wear this in the fall or the spring over a blouse. I think that's very pretty. I really do like all of the garments in this collection. This. Now this is cute. This comes in two versions. This is just a little cami. Here it is with a, a pointelle lace. And then they have the exact same thing in just in stockinette. So depending on how you like to knit and how you feel about holes in your garments. This I think, isn't this a crocheted one? No, this is the knitted one. So this is their one of their two accessories. The pink in this picture, I think, shows more of a baby pink than the actual yarn is. I don't know that that's necessarily the best example of the color of the yarn, but if you're an accessory girl, that's cute. This is the one of the two crocheted garments. This is a drop-shouldered cropped crocheted top. Very cute. I think that's shown in the sand. Here is their crocheted wrap. And the last one is this very cozy, fun, oversized sweater. This is the kind of thing I can see if you lived in New England, um, having that, for a nice walk on the beach or anytime, Again, I see this yarn and I see these garments as capsule wardrobe kinds of things. I could see any of those camisoles and cardigans knit in the same color for a really modern twin set. I think that would look amazing. Um, yeah, I'm super jazzed about this yarn. So let's see. What sweater am I wearing? Okay, well this is a custom fit, just a scoop neck. It's one of the custom fits with a scoop neck. I can't remember which one it is, but yeah. You like the indulge? Yeah, so I think the colors are beautiful. I like it a lot, and I know that this is gonna be a super wearable yarn for me. I'm gonna enjoy knitting with it, and I'm gonna enjoy wearing it, and I feel like it's one of those yarns that's going to stand the test of time in terms of wearing, washing, wearing, and having it be kind of a staple in my wardrobe. So I'm all about those little camisoles. I have a million camisoles that I've purchased, and I would love to knit one and have that as part of my wardrobe. So anyway, I'm interested in hearing in the chat or the comments if there is a particular garment that you like, or if there's something that you want to knit that you think would be perfect in that. I'm also going to put in another shameless plug for my Cocoa Knits class on the Lizzie. That is Cocoa Knits taking the next step. So if you've already done an Emma and you're comfortable with that process, then Lizzie is sort of the next step. It's at a finer gauge and it has some finishing details that I think are worth a class. So I'm going to be doing mine. I'll probably be doing two. I'll be doing mine in this beautiful blue color. So I hope that you will join me for that as well. All right. So thank you for being here. If this is your first time and you're not yet subscribed, I would love to have you subscribe to the channel so that you can hear about when I go on live or when I upload a new video about all the things that are fun to knit and fabulous to wear. And next week, I'll be joined by Jenny Stein. We're going to be talking about the importance of slow fashion and some of the garments that we've knit a long time and enjoyed a long time and what we have on our mind going forward in that same vein. So we will see you next time. Thank you for being here. Good night.